It's Friday, and that means it's time for a new episode of Weird Places You Never Knew You Need to Go. On today's episode, we are going to talk about a little place called Roswell, New Mexico. I want to start this off by saying that I have always wanted to go to Roswell, New Mexico. I have always been fascinated by aliens, and I've just wanted to see for myself the area and feel the vibe. And I don't know, it's just one of those things I've always wanted to do, right? So I was sitting at home Googling, and I Googled how far of a drive is it to Roswell, New Mexico? And it was 10 and a half hours, which, okay, 10 and a half hours, that's a long drive, but it's doable. So I asked my kids, hey, do you guys want to take a road trip? And they were all in. And so we decided we were going to do it. So we headed out to Roswell, New Mexico. We made the drive in one day. It was a long one. It was a rough one, but we survived. And the first day we got there, we just went straight to our hotel and we went to sleep. We were exhausted. We weren't going to do anything. We all just needed some sleep. So we woke up the next day, and the first stop on our amazing tour of Roswell, New Mexico was the International UFO Museum. If you have never been to Roswell and you would like to go, I would strongly recommend that you make this the first stop on your trip. It gives you so much information that you can refer back to through the rest of your trip. I feel that the museum was really well done. It had some really great exhibits. There was a lot of really interesting information that was put in there. And some of it, you can't really fact check, but then some of it you can. And so it was really interesting. I feel like it was done well. There were parts of it that were slightly cheesy, but I don't feel like it was a cheesy museum experience, like the cheesiness stuff. So there were some photo ops, and they did a scene of an alien autopsy. That's what I mean when I say cheesy, but it was all done really, really well. And one of the co-founders of the museum, his name is Donald R. Schmidt, and he actually wrote several books and has spent a large portion of his life researching Roswell. And so he is one of the people that helps to collect the information for the museum. So he has a wealth of knowledge, and I actually purchased his book, Cover Up at Roswell. This is a really good book. I will say this. There were a lot of editing errors, and this man needs an editor. And that was tough because for me, when I'm reading a book, if there's errors in it, then I feel like it loses the credibility. So I do need to warn you guys, there are a lot of errors, editing errors in here, which makes me so sad because I want this to be a really good book to stand up. So just know that, okay, I want to make sure you guys know it needs to be edited in a new edition. Donald Schmidt, hire an editor. Your stuff is really good. It just needs to be cleaned up. After going to the museum, we came outside, and there are a bunch of little stores around the area. So the nice thing with the Roswell area is that all of these things are located really close together, definitely within walking distance. So if you don't have a car, you're not going to be limited as to what you can see because you're not really going to need to drive around too terribly much. And if you do have a car, you're not going to be driving around an unfamiliar city. It's pretty easy. So we went to some of the little souvenir shops in the area. And then after that, we went to a place called Brickland. And Brickland is kind of like the generic great value version of a Lego store, and it was really cool. So it's a store, it has a little storefront, but then it's a museum, kind of a museum. I guess you called it a museum, but there are displays throughout the entire place of all of these Lego creations. Some of them are built from sets, some of them weren't, but it is so cool to see all of the amazing things that they've done. And then all of the really cool things they've done, adding lights and movement and music, and things kind of come to life. It is so cool. And it was right about here that my two youngest decided that it was time for a dance party. So I have 3 boys and a girl, and my boys are Lego boys, and so they loved it. Even my 25-year-old sat down and was building a house with his Legos. It was a really nice moment to just kind of sit down. We went into the lab area where they got to build things, and it was really nice. It was nice and cool and air conditioned. Everyone got to kind of sit down and have a break, and they got to build stuff with Legos. It was really, really cool. And I do want to add really quick, all of the people who were working at all of these places we went. So the International UFO Museum, Brickland, and all of the other places I'm going to talk about, the people who were operating these places, the majority of them I think are all privately owned mom and pop types of businesses. But the customer service and the kindness that we got everywhere we went was amazing. Roswell is definitely one of the most polite cities I've ever been to. That was one of the really cool things about Roswell. So if you're looking for a place where people are really cool, go to Roswell. When we left Brickland, we were all really hungry. So we went to a little Subway that was right there. It was like not even a block away. We went in, we had lunch. It was really nice. And then after lunch, we went to a place called Spaceport Roswell. Spaceport Roswell is a VR experience. Now, I've never done a VR experience. My kids definitely have. They've played with like the Oculus and all of that stuff. So they were really excited. We walk into Spaceport Roswell and there's a young lady who's working and she's very, very, she was very sweet. And she says to us, okay, before we get going, does anyone have any space goo? And we're all looking around at each other like, what? We're lost. We're not following. And she's like, you know, space goo. And then we realized like, oh, this is part of the thing. We need to like play along. So that was really, really cute. She did not break character at all, but she guided us into what we were supposed to do. And I really liked that. We weren't just like awkwardly standing there like, what are we supposed to do? She was kind of like, so they take you in and you sit down. When we were there, we had our choice between the Roswell crash and Apollo 11. And we decided, of course, we're in Roswell, like bring on the aliens. So that was the one we did. We went in, they have you sit down, there's a screen and it talks a little bit about the VR and Roswell and all of that stuff, I think. And then they come back after the video and they take you into this other room. And they put you on essentially like a stool that spins. It doesn't have a back. It's just like a stool. And you're kind of sitting in a circle and there's these VR goggles. And so you put your VR goggles on and it goes into the experience. And it was super, super cool. The plot was very interesting. There was like a whole plot, a whole story. But then, and I don't know if maybe all VR is like this, but you could completely turn like a 360 and see everything. It was really, really cool. Towards the end, I did start to feel a little like, I don't know if it was motion sickness. And my oldest son, my 25-year-old, he was starting to feel it too. The younger ones did not have it. But towards the end, we were like, okay, we need to wrap this up. So just keep that in mind. You can start to feel a little nauseous and they let you know if you start to feel sick, you can take the goggles off. There's people there to help you. It wasn't anything where we were like violently ill or throwing up. It was just a little nausea where it was like, whoa, this is kind of, I think when you look down and you don't see your body, that's kind of weird too. So by the time that was over, we were ready for it to be over, but it was super, super cool. The art and the graphics and just the whole experience was stellar. After we went to Spaceport Roswell, we went to another really cool place called Roswell UFO Spacewalk. And this is a blacklight experience. And that place is also really, really cool. So we walked in and there's like one gentleman working there and we pay, which also I want to say that all of these attractions were incredibly affordable. I have 4 kids and myself, so there were 5 of us, and there was nothing we did where I was like, oh my gosh, that was super expensive. Like everything was very reasonably priced. So we go in, we get our tickets, and the gentleman working behind the counter, he gives us these ray guns, and it was so cute. They light up and they make little noises. And so you go in and it's just all black lights and there's different sets and it's really, really cool. It's super, super artistic. They have a lot of different things in there. You just kind of walk through and it's not very long, but they do let you, like we looped it a couple times and they did not care. They were fine with it. We went in and like we took pictures and we took some video. And then when we were done, we came back out. We were in the lobby area, which is also a gift shop. And I noticed some art on the walls. Now, I like really interesting art, some art that's like kind of different. So this stuff really caught my eye. It was really bright, really vibrant. It almost felt like comic book art. And it was just really, really cool. So I was asking the man who was working there about the artist, and the artist is his uncle. He makes all of this art and he paints, and he has originals that you can buy or prints. I picked up a really cool print. I love it. I am so stoked. I already have it framed and hanging up in my house. I thought it was super, super cool. After we were done with the Roswell UFO spacewalk, it was about, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. We were able to get through basically everything in one day, which was really, really nice. We had scheduled to spend 2 days in Roswell, but we didn't need it. We ended up actually coming home a day early because we were able to see everything that we wanted to see, and we were just ready to go home. We've been traveling a lot. So we were all kind of tired, so we decided to get in the car and take a drive. And we wanted to drive to the 2 different Welcome to Roswell signs. So on the there's 2 different parts of town where when you drive in, it has the big Welcome to Roswell sign. One of those has an art installation piece where you can actually like take pictures. When we were there, we didn't see it. Now, I know that it had been really vandalized, so I don't know if it was taken down or somehow we missed it. I can't imagine that we would have missed it. So I'm thinking, I Googled to try to see if it had been taken down, and I didn't find anything on the internet that said that it had been taken down, but I also haven't seen any recent posts of people posing with it. So that was kind of a bummer. We really wanted to see that. We didn't get to see that, but we did get to see the 2 big iconic, Welcome to Roswell signs. So we did that. And then we decided, okay, we want to rest because we had some really cool plans for the evening. So we went back to our hotel. Everybody kind of like laid down. I think I took a nap. Everybody just kind of relaxed. And then for dinner, we had to make a trip to the McDonald's. Now, McDonald's, right? Like, why would you go to dinner at McDonald's? It's not just any McDonald's. This McDonald's is in the shape of a UFO. Yeah. It was the coolest McDonald's. It had this huge play area inside. My 2 youngest loved it. They went crazy. They were like playing, climbing on stuff. But the other crazy thing is the customer service we got. They gave us a number. We went and sat down. They brought us our food. We didn't have to stand around and wait for it. They were constantly cleaning. They were constantly coming by and checking on us to see if we needed anything. When I go to McDonald's, I'm not going for customer service. I'm just going because my kids have harassed me to go, or sometimes I'm craving a Big Mac. But like, other than that, I don't expect anything else from McDonald's. But the service there was top notch. After dinner, we did something that I don't think very many people do, but everybody should do. Before we left on our trip, I researched all the different things to do. And one of the things that I found was the Robert Goddard Planetarium. If you don't know what a planetarium is, it's essentially like a building that has kind of a domed shaped roof on the inside. And you go in and you sit in chairs, and usually the chairs will recline, or at least recline a little bit. And you can watch things projected on the ceiling. And typically what it is it's the different constellations, it's the different stars, and they do all kinds of shows to show, just depending on what you're there for. The night we went, we were the only people that were there. It was so cool. It was like whatever information we wanted, we had the person like one-on-one. He was, again, super kind. Like, everyone was so kind. He was super nice. He was very knowledgeable. And so we got to see a couple different things. We got to see a whole thing on fractals, which was amazing. You're seeing all of these things kind of like splitting off and moving, and they're creating all these patterns. That was super cool. I really liked that. Then we saw a video about Apollo 11, which again, super, super interesting. And then that was capped off by getting to see all of the constellations that were going to be in the sky that night. And it was really cool because he took us through like all of the different constellations for all of the different zodiac signs, which I love that. But we were there also the week before the full moon. I spent the full moon in Sedona, so come back and check out that video. It's going to be posted in like a week or so. But this was right before the full moon, so it was really cool because there was like a lot of things going on. The sky was really lit up, and there was a lot that he could share with us. So that was really, really cool and super interesting. And honestly, I think that the planetarium was probably my very favorite part of Roswell. And it's something that not a lot of people do. And it's super affordable. I think we paid like $21 for all of us or something. It was like really, really affordable. After we left the planetarium, we were feeling like we wanted a little bit of a treat. And so we went to the local Baskin-Robbins, that's also a Dunkin' Donuts, and we got some ice cream, and we just kind of unwound and relaxed. And then after we were done with that, we went back to our hotel room to just crash for the night. When we woke up the next morning, I think all of us were ready to go home. And so no one really said anything, but we were all kind of packing up our stuff, and we're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess we're leaving. And so we just jumped in the car and we headed out. But before we left, we went back to the Baskin-Robbins, that's also a Dunkin' Donuts, and we had Dunkin' Donuts. We had some really fun little alien donuts to sugar us up before we got in the car and drove 10 and a half hours back home. And that was it. That was our trip. Roswell, New Mexico has so much fun stuff to do. It's such a good place, and the energy there and the people there are so positive. It is so fantastic. We really enjoyed ourselves. I would definitely recommend that you go to Roswell, New Mexico, even if it's a 10.5-hour drive. For sure, for sure. Everybody should go there. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun, and there's a lot to see there. So I hope that you found this video interesting. If you like this type of content, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know what to create more of. Also, if you haven't subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? Subscribe already. Click the subscribe button. Also, if you want to be notified every time I upload new content, hit the little notification bell. It will alert you every time I upload. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.